It won't start, will it, Homer?
No.
Well, see if you can prime it a little bit there. Give it a little more gas there. Maybe it'll start.
We're speaking with Byron Crawford, a WHAS legend, and radio, TV, and newspaper column guy, and also now writing columns, the back page, for KentuckyLiving.com. But there's a compilation book now called The Back Page, Byron Crawford's Kentucky Living columns. I enjoyed going through all these.
Thank you.
The stories that you've found, like the woman who put a note in, did she work in a factory that made pants?
She worked in a factory in Missouri back in the 1920s or 30s that made men's riding pants, I guess, and men's wear. But anyway, she was a young woman, and the days before, I called it before social networking, you know, in our day, this is how they did it. She put her name and address in the pocket of a pair of pants that she made in Missouri. A guy in Taylorsville, Kentucky, or Spencer County, bought the pants, and I think he was married, but he gave the address to his brother.
Right.
Who was single. His brother wrote back to her, and they wrote back and forth maybe for 2 years, but then they wound up meeting each other and getting married for like 50 years.
Yeah, that's right.
She came to Kentucky.
Was that the guy that got on the steamboat and came down and met her at the?
No,
see, that was a different story.
That was another one. That was the woman who threw a girl who threw her in a bottle.
Right, a note in a bottle.
She threw a note in a bottle into the Ohio River at Maysville, and it floated all the way down the Ohio River. He was fishing up around his brother was fishing up around Bedford, Kentucky, around Trimble County in the Ohio River. Saw this bottle, saw that it had a note in it, brought it home, gave it to his brother whose wife had died in an accident, and they had 4 children. And he started writing back and forth. She lived in Cynthiana, Kentucky. And I don't know that they had ever seen each other, but they met at the Sealback Hotel here.
He said, "I'll be wearing my winter hat."
He said, "I'll be wearing my winter hat." And he later told him it was the only hat he had. But I guess sight unseen, and they married that day.
Yes.
And she went back to Trimble County, and he introduced her to the children. He said, "Children, this is your new mother." And one of the grandchildren said that she loved them to pieces. They had a great life.
Fantastic.
Good Valentine's Day story.
These stories are phenomenal, though. There's a lot about patriotism and veterans and people waiting on guys who are like in the Korean War, and mom is like, "You don't want to do that. You don't know if he's coming." And then they don't get letters. One guy you wrote about was a prisoner of war, lost 70 pounds, and they didn't hear from him.
Right. And then one day he shows up. And then there, of course, there's stories about stuff like the donkey down in Woodford County, whose owner left in her will. She was wealthy.
Yep.
She left in her will that he was to be taken care of out of her estate for the rest of his life, to do anything he wanted, to have anything he wanted to eat. And he practically runs this horse farm, and he would get out there. They planted marigolds in the spring around to make flower decorations in front of the farm entrance, and he loved marigolds. So he would go out there and eat the marigolds. And I wrote, there's stories like that in there. Stories about the monarch butterflies migration through Kentucky and all kinds of
they're
stuff.
Phenomenal stories.
Well, thank you. All of them aren't phenomenal, but a few of them are.
But the donkey, I mean, then when he went and asked for a Rolls Royce, they were like, "Wait a minute, I think there's limitations on this estate."
But stuff like that, and there's another one about and you've never done this because you have been a big-time radio guy.
Oh, big time.
But there's a story about all the small stations around Kentucky who have tradio shows. You call it's the what is it? The
swap shop.
The swap shop shows around the state, and I interviewed the guys and gals who operate the, who are the voices for those swap shops, and they tell the funniest bunch of stories about the stuff that they've gotten to sell, and
right. Yeah, I got a butter churn and I need a liver, and it's like, well, I don't know if that's going to work.
And a guy calls up and says, "I've come down on that couch today. It's still sitting out there on by the mailbox. If y'all wanted, I'm coming down. I'd like to get 150 out of it, but I'll take 75 today." It's that kind of stuff.
That's a great compilation of columns, but you had such a storied life. What was it like? Did you tell the Binghams, I'm done here in 1979 because your Side Roads was going to become a separate project away from them? That was you taking on your own business?
No, I had been offered a job in Pittsburgh at Westinghouse, covering 5 states, and I've forgotten the. I wanted it wasn't Entertainment Tonight, but it was one of those kind of magazine shows, and they asked us to cover 5 states. So I didn't want to go out there, but people knew that the videographer and I had been offered that. And I had already told them I'd like to write the Kentucky column at the Courier-Journal. So they called me and gave me a chance when they lost their columnist. And I stayed there almost 30 years.
But the way your bio reads is you would just head to certain areas of Kentucky with not really a plan sometimes, but you knew enough people and enough people knew about you to welcome you and say, well, we need you to introduce you to Skeeter because he's got a crazy whatever.
That's exactly what would happen. And one day I was going down to far western Kentucky. I got this call from a guy. He said, "I got a story for you if you get here down here." And I didn't have time to go because I was going somewhere else. The next morning when I was coming back, I was listening to Paul Harvey. And he told the story, and he used this guy's name. And I thought, wait a minute, this is the guy who called me from Western Kentucky yesterday. He said, and Paul Harvey said, so-and-so in Western Kentucky is on top of his house with a chainsaw. He's sawing his house in half because he got a divorce, and they ordered him to divide the property, so he's cutting his house in half. And I said, I missed that story.
That sounds like a great one.
Yeah, I know.
You were also at work here at WHAS Radio on April 3rd, 1974. 1974. Let's listen. Tornadoes were rumbling through.
Governor Ford indicated to us that he is trying to divide up the National Guardsmen around the state as best he can to see that all areas which suffered serious damage receive relief, especially those areas where the damage could result in some looting and what have you.
Looting and what have you?
I don't know what have you is, but you have to know that I didn't have any script in front of me. That we were on, I guess at that time, Milton Metz and I were sitting in his studio, and this was, in the aftermath of the tornado. We're covering it.
It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, this was at night.
Oh.
And we were sitting there. It was during Metz's show, but of course everything was going to tornado coverage. And we got the operator called and said, she broke into a call and said, this is the governor's office is calling. And Metz said, we knew that Tommy Preston was the press secretary then, so we automatically thought it was Tommy calling us to tell us something. And Metz said, yes, Metz or I one said, yes, Tommy, go ahead. And he said, no, there's a Wendell. It was Wendell Ford.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, he had just something he wanted to tell us, about it.
Yeah.
HAS has been such a great beacon for emergency news of all kinds over the years. I mean, with the signal that you all have here, in times like that tornado, it's just, it's you don't realize it until maybe after it's over, what you do for people.
Yeah, well, that was important. I mean, obviously, what Dick Gilbert did in the helicopter that day, who knows how many lives he could have saved just by letting people know the path of that tornado.
And he called, as you know, and you're a pilot, so he called the tower, I think.
He did.
And asked him, said, could I fly out of my usual pattern this afternoon? And the tower at Stanford Field said, Mr. Gilbert, the sky is all yours.
Yeah.
You know,
Indeed.
he was the only one up there.
Wide open canvas.
Yeah.
That's funny. I only had one encounter with Wendell Ford. This was long after he was a senator. Wasn't he the minority leader at some time?
was something
or
like
minority
that,
whip or
maybe.
something or other.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was parodied on this show many, many times because of his advocacy
Yeah.
for the tobacco companies.
Yeah.
So we had an actor named Randy Davidson who would impersonate
I remember.
"There's Wendell Ford," and he was always coughing. So one night I'm here working, it's election night, and one of the TV reporters knocks on my studio door after I got off the air. "You have a guest here." And he opens the door, and Senator Wendell Ford walks in. He just looks at me and he said, "Is this your desk?" He was talking about, you know, the $100,000 electronic board in front of me. I said, "Yes, Senator." He takes the cigarette out of his mouth and flicks his ashes on it, turns around and walks out. It's the only thing that man ever said to me. And I've told that story, and people say, "That's really gangster."
You know, when I was still working at WHAS Radio, I was doing the news one day, and, you know, we had that window that you could look into the lobby over on Chestnut Street. And I looked up, and this was when Wendell Ford was still governor. He had his face, I was trying to read the news, he had his face squished as tight against that glass as he could get it, where it was totally distorted. And here he stood with his hands up like that and his face just mashed up against it. So he did have a sense of humor.
He did. Governor Brereton Jones came into the studio, and he saw me, and he got on his knees and said, "Go easy on me." They're all funny if you see them.
I know.
I was walking out of the back door one night, that electric door that sees you so you don't have to look.
Yeah.
It just opens automatically. So I'm saying something to Barry Burns. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow or whatever. And I walk out and boom, I walk right into Wallace Wilkinson.
Oh my goodness.
He stumbles backward and he sees it's me, and he turns to the state trooper and he said, "Arrest this man." Oh boy.
They do. Most of them have a sense of humor.
They do, yeah. It's funny. Well, you've had a heck of a trail you've walked so far. What's the next plan? You got book number 5 you're working on?
Next plan is to keep Joe Arnold from firing me. And Joe's, that's another, you know, he's another former HAS.
Right, we're everywhere.
Yeah, so he's with Kentucky Living now, and at the top, he's my boss, you know.
Well, you
I
look.
have a bunch of them, but
Well, this book that Kentucky Living's put together is fantastic. Is that your fancy belt you're wearing? Because you look really stylish
all
on
my
the
belts
cover.
are fancy too.
I see it that way. Byron Crawford standing next to a body of water. What is that?
That Salt River, that's running through my little place down in Anderson County. I have a little backwoodsy place down there.
No king has anything on you, buddy. That's a heck of a kingdom you're standing in right there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Tell you that
neat-
much. What's
neat
that,
in the
Joe?
summer.
Didn't Eric take that picture?
Eric took that picture.
Yeah, Eric Crawford.
Yeah. It's nice down there in the summer. I bet it's not nice now.
No,
But
covered in snow.
it's
And you
all-
have 3 other talented children. We mentioned Eric, but
Yeah.
and we bragged on your wife too for her
I
sense
have
of humor.
four talented kids, 3 boys and a girl,
Yep.
and 2 or 3 of them got into radio, and
Yeah.
so. And,
But-
and the other one can write, so.
But you've said publicly before you learn from them, and you're all like colleagues now. I mean, everybody bounces jokes off of each other, and it's really a tightly knit family. It's
It is
impressive.
when you get them together. It's like a one-liner festival.
Great stuff. Byron Crawford. The book is called The Back Page, Byron Crawford's Kentucky Living Columns. Find it at KentuckyLiving.com. Great to see you again.
You too, buddy.
Back at a few on News Radio 840 WHAS.